Welcome to the About podcast. Here we explore your financial health in simple and easy to understand ways.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the About podcast, where we talk all things personal financial health. My name is Jeremy Scott, one of the hosts here, joined ably by Roy Hucke of Credentialed Wealth Advisors. Roy, how you doing?
I am well. You know, the air is crisp, the sun is bright, the sky is blue.
Yes.
It's a very nice day today.
It is. It's a very nice day. We could use a little more snow, but other than that, it's
moisture
not so
in
bad.
general.
Moisture
nice.
in general. Yeah. You know, we live in that part of the world. Well, Roy, today we're going to dig deep into your personal expertise as a financial planner to talk about what questions should you ask a financial planner. Say you are looking to switch, or maybe you've never worked with one before. What are some good informed questions that we can ask to make sure that the person we're looking to work with is the right fit for us?
Yep.
Because this is one of those places where, as the layman, the person who's not officially schooled and all of these sorts of things, I don't know what I don't know, and that's what we're going to work on today. How do you make sure that you know what you don't know?
Yeah. Well, I actually have recently gone through a new client, and we're really kind of looking through our experience and what clients go through, and this client had never worked with a financial planner before.
Yeah, you were my first too, right?
Perfect. So I wanted to use that and kind of what? I think other people could use this information. So this is kind of a little informal and, throwing together some questions that I know people should ask. Some of these, they may not even know why they should ask them, but we'll kind of talk through that a little bit. So
yeah, I think that'd be great.
We don't have a top 10 or anything like that. We just kind of have an amalgamation of things I put together that I just want to kind of walk through.
But the podcasting world loves a top 10, Roy. So we'll just call it a top 10, even if we won't actually count them.
Top 3 things you must ask
that
they don't want you to know.
Now you're getting it. All right. Well, what's number 1 or number 10, depending on where we're starting?
Well, so let's set the table, right? So let's say that you called somebody and you're sitting down with them, right? So you're like, hey, I have a list of questions I would like to go through with you and just understand you better. Because typically, I just want people to understand that advisors and planners are typically looking at you, not just they want to bring on anybody, when they want to make sure it's a right fit.
Right.
So it's equally an interview for them as it is for you as the client.
So that's number 1. They're interviewing you too.
That's something to know. It's not really a question, but it is something you should know, is that they are interviewing you, and are you a good fit for what they do and how they do it? But I think as you ask them questions and get clarification, most people appreciate people who are informed and thoughtful. And that typically will make a good client, right? But everyone's different, right? So philosophies could be different. So typically what I would like to tell people is to ask, why did you become a financial advisor or a planner?
Really?
Yeah.
You want a little of their life story, do we?
Right. Don't you want to know why do they even get into the profession?
Oh, yeah, okay. Because if the answer is make as much money as I possibly can.
That's probably not ideal. That's really not ideal. Right? Do you want to help people? What's the thing, right?
Right.
So for my story, which we've kind of shared on here from time to time, but I went to school, became a mathematics major, went to secondary education, so I taught high school math and finance, and then I realized when I was doing a stock market game with the kids one year that I was actually really enjoying that a lot more, and so were the kids. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to have a friend that became a financial advisor that I knew, and he was kind of a mentor to me and in life and in teaching, because he was also a teacher. And then he kind of was in my ear a little bit about what the experience was like. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so you're just teaching people, but you're teaching them about something they want to know about.
Right.
So I was like, I think I want to look into that. So I looked into it more, and it was probably about 3 years of, kind of research and just thought and, consideration. And then I realized, wow, I can actually teach people, still make that, because I really enjoyed teaching.
Right.
But I still make that connection. And then I actually get to steward people in a good way towards making good decisions and informed decisions. And that's why I kind of went the planner route versus just the straight up advisor route, right? Because I'm not just looking for anybody. I'm looking at people who want a planner.
Right.
If you don't want that, then I wouldn't be a good fit, right? So when you're sitting down and talking through this, I would be interviewing the other person and be like, if they don't, they're like, just invest my money, give me the maximum return. Well, that's really not a good fit for Roy.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there to do that. But I really want to plan, educate, I want to inform, I want to have a relationship with the clients that I work with.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, probably looking for something in that vein, as to their why.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So why did you become a financial
Yeah.
planner? That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
And the education experience behind it. Like, what education and experience do you have that makes you any good?
Okay.
Right? So you're Joe off the street. You've never worked with somebody. You're like, I've looked this guy up. I found him on a search thing, or I heard his podcast or whatever. Like, what, Roy, makes you, experienced to be able to help me?
Right.
So I have a mathematics background. People really love that,
Yeah.
which it doesn't really play a lot into what I do anymore. But when you talk about the math part of it is important, and I can understand all the math jargon and stuff that's behind the scenes in the industry. But the piece of the puzzle now is like, I'm a certified financial planner. What does that actually mean? We've talked about it on different episodes. But
shout out to that episode.
That is a designation, though, that is not easy to get.
Right.
It takes about a year of your life to go through the process of getting it. And now I have, nearly, I'm doing the math in my head right now, almost 17 years of experience going on 17 years of experience in the industry, in multiple companies.
Right.
So, and then you can kind of go into more detail there if they have more questions around that. But if that doesn't give you some experience, right, in the number of years you've been in and your background, then, you need to kind of have more of a conversation around that from the client perspective if it's not a good enough answer, right? But I think most people are like that. That makes me feel good.
Nice. So why do you want to do this? And what's your level of education experience? Tell me. So those are good opening questions. Love it.
Which tied into the, do you have any credentials, which I did just already say.
Yeah,
certified financial planner. But there's a lot of credentialing out there that's important. So in the planning world, the certified financial planner is probably the most important one.
Right.
There's a chartered financial analyst, which my partner in this company is actually a CFA, chartered financial analyst. They're kind of the top of the food pyramid for the investing side of this world. The CFP is kind of the top of the food pyramid for the planning side of this world.
Got it.
But they both have unique expertise, right? That's why him and I are good complements. Because, that's really the geeky math, way more in depth, even than my math degree, by the way, for them to understand. But, you could have a CPA. You could be a chartered financial analyst, or excuse me, it's not chartered. I said that one, but what's it called? Chartered financial consultant. Now, this is an important thing to understand because the chartered financial consultant is the same training that you go through for the CFP. But if you don't have a bachelor's degree, you can't get a CFP.
Oh, okay.
But like I have a friend right now going through it, and he's kind of irked by it, which I actually understand. Like if you have 15 years of experience and you can't get a CFP because you don't have a bachelor's, that's kind of like, that's weird.
It's a little weird.
But the chartered financial consultant is the alternative that he does have to get.
Okay.
So if you see a chartered financial consultant or a certified financial planner, the difference is one has a 4-year degree and one doesn't. But if you have 15 years of experience, don't you think that's more important than the degree?
Right. Oh, I think so. But that it goes to the experience and education question.
Exactly. So have you gone through those different things? So those are kind of some of the big ones just to be aware of. There's other things out there. They call it the alphabet soup because you can always get designation of some sort.
Oh, yeah.
For instance, I just got and passed my next designation, which I have, is called the CEPA. CEPA, Certified Exit Planning Advisor.
Ooh.
So what that specializes in is in helping business owners try to get a maximum valuation on their their business if they go through a sales process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because that's kind of one of the areas of expertise I have. So which leads me into my next thing of what are your areas of specialty? So,
everybody doesn't do everything, right?
Do you fog a mirror is not a really good response, right? So, what area of specialty do they really focus on? For me, I really like the planning side of that. Now, that's super vague. Like, what does that mean, right? Yeah. And I could really dig into that and be way more granular on it. But if people want to engage, people haven't experienced it a lot of times. So I kind of start wide on purpose, and then I kind of take it down to what they actually need planning around. But I'm versed in all of the planning side of things. I'm not an expert in everything, and sometimes you bring in experts to help. But that's one of the areas of specialty that I have is the planning side of it. But I specifically really enjoy working, and I don't know why this is, but my demographic, I kind of do know why it is, but my demographic kind of evolves over time, and it kind of seems like I keep getting single or widowed folk.
Yeah.
And I've actually put a understanding around that. My grandma was basically widowed when I was like 3-ish.
Oh.
And I've known grandma as single lady, widow. I don't call her lady or widow. You know, she's a single person, but I was always warm and fuzzies, hugs from grandma. Right. It feels that emotional warm side of my brain, if you will. And then I also really, really enjoy working with business owners.
Oh, okay.
And the reason that is because they're way more exact, complex, no warms and fuzzies. It's like, tell me what my options are. Okay, I like that one. Go. Yeah. Right. It's that simple. Like, you know, you could have an hour meeting with a widow, and the same meeting of covering the same stuff could be like 20 minutes with the business owner. Cause like, I don't have time to waste. Tell me what I need to know. Glad you're doing well. Glad the kids are alive. Let's move on, right? That's just business owners in general. They're working hard. So it kind of itches both sides of my brain, right? Like I have the grandma, that's the warm and fuzzy, get the hugs from the little old ladies that are awesome. And then I have the business owners that are way more dynamic, complex, fun, exciting, quick moving, quick pace, big things at stake. And I really enjoy doing that. So areas of specialty be that, right? So I have the CEPA because I have that business owner itch. Yeah. And then the planning side for my single clients. But I work with also married couples.
I was going to say, people who are, I am neither of those people.
I actually have a really soft spot too for young people who want help.
Yeah.
And then the reality is the younger you are, the less complex you typically are. So for me to spend some time there, help them get on the right track and then help them stay on track is not a huge time commitment for me.
Right.
But, you know, you can't pay the bills really with those people either because they don't have much in assets to be able to manage and help them with. So, you know, sometimes that's just pro bono work, right? But it is a place I really enjoy spending time. So, but you know, talking through people with that and like, why do you do what you do and who you work with? And I think it's important to know that perspective. Right? So,
I think so. I think that's great.
So that's areas of specialty, right? And then, you know, one of the other questions was, are you, this is important about the licensing. Okay. So we've talked about this on previous podcasts, but I'm going to go through a little bit here. Are you a registered representative of any broker dealer?
Are you a registered representative of any broker dealer?
That's correct.
Okay. That's the question that I understand about a half of those words.
Right. So let's peel back the onion a little bit and remind people. In this world, there's really two primary regulators. You have FINRA, FINRA, and you have the SEC. Okay, the broker-dealer world is overseen by FINRA. They have a best interest standard for approaching someone and helping someone, not a fiduciary standard. The SEC regulator has a fiduciary standard. So there are different approaches to how you work with people.
Right.
And different rules to follow because of that. So if you are a broker-dealer, you know that they have the best interest standard, and they can't be a fiduciary in all situations because there's always conflicts of interest.
Oh, okay.
And with broker dealers, you can get paid commissions and have financial incentives that exist that really technically, am I truly a fiduciary if I'm selling you investment X over investment Y? Maybe they get you to the same place, but investment Y pays me a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
It creates a conflict.
Right.
Technically, if you disclose the conflict and the reasoning, you're still okay.
Right.
But it's just a slippery slope, right? So on the SEC side, it's a fiduciary standard. So in every situation at all times, it has to be in the client's best interest.
Right.
And typically the fee structure is different to accommodate that.
Right.
Which we'll talk more about now. But knowing if they're part of a broker dealer or not is just important. And then peeling back, like if they are, okay, what does that mean? How do you get paid? Right. Those are also part of it. Yeah. So before we get to the how you get paid piece.
Always important.
Are you a licensed insurance agent with any company or agency? So for me, I'm not registered with a broker dealer. That's one of the things that I let go of when I started this company.
Right.
So I'm only under the SEC. But I do have a life insurance license.
Okay.
Technically, it's life and health when you get it, but I don't ever use the health side because I don't sell health insurance.
Right.
But I do help people with life insurance. It's funny because this is really a slippery slope too in the industry because technically I get paid a commission if I sell life insurance.
Okay.
So if somebody buys a term life insurance policy, there's a commission that's paid to the insurance agent.
Okay.
Just like the person that sells you your car insurance.
Right. Or the person who sells you your car.
Right.
Somebody tells you something, they're probably getting something for it.
But we're talking insurance right now specifically. So that's where it gets a little bit gray.
Okay.
And I, as a fiduciary, am not technically a fiduciary in the situation if I sell you life insurance.
Oh, okay.
But if I'm looking at your plan overall, and it's like, hey, your plan sees a gap where you don't have death benefit coverage for the debt that you're carrying or whatever it is.
Right.
I always have the argument of, is it better to send this client to some other insurance person that doesn't necessarily know them or their situation? Or does it make more sense for me to be able to provide that for them to make sure they get what they actually need for the purpose of their overall plan?
Sure.
So, but some advisors are like, well, I don't get any commissions ever. Right. It's kind of like this line in the sand in the SEC people's world, if you will. Right. So I technically am life insurance registered, so I can help people with that. Some people don't do that, but that's why it's a nuance, and that's why it's a question you should kind of ask to understand, because there are commissions that are involved with that.
Right.
They're trying to come out with ways to do that differently, but they haven't fully the industry, I should say, but they haven't fully figured it out how to make it a fiduciary kind of approach.
Right.
I'm talking a lot here, Jeremy. So what questions do you have?
No, I know.
I'm
fascinated.
I can see your eyes are like, whoosh,
no. It's good. Well, no, I think it's good. I mean, I think, this is, I think the first opening questions are really important, because this really is a relationship, and preferably a long-term relationship you hope to have, because, moving all your money around and stuff is a pain in the butt. So you really want to make sure that you're going to want to work with this person that you're, for a good long while, especially if most of your goals are around things like retirement and you're maybe a few decades away from that or whatever. Like, you want to make sure that you feel good about the one that you're working with, because you're going to have a lot of personal conversations. We've talked about that 1,000 times on this podcast, that you can't dig into somebody's financial life without digging into some of their, more personal areas. I like that you talk about it as, getting financially naked in front of somebody. So that's kind of what you're doing. You're like, do I want to be naked in front of this person? Not literally, just to be clear, but, do I want to, let them in? Do I trust them to really do that work? And I think that is more in the guise of a relational kind of understanding than just a business transaction sort of understanding, right?
Do I want this person to speak into my life?
Right.
Are they qualified? Do they care about me and my situation, or am I just a number to them? Right. They get the person that sells you something, gets you in the door, then they hand you off to the next person, the next person, the next person.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing. I think that along with that, kind of those opening questions, maybe this is anticipating later, is the question of, are you the person I'm going to continue to work with?
That's a good question there.
Or am I meeting with the big dog on day one, and then, to get me in the door, and then after that, it's, all the other people, which is not necessarily even a bad thing. But you should know that, I like this guy, but I'm actually never going to see that guy again, because I'm going to be working with the...
And it's the design that you need to understand, right? So, for instance, if you really want the guy and always the guy, those people exist.
Yeah.
But even for my own practice, as we're growing, there's only so much capacity that I have. Now, I have 17 years of expertise helping people, but I want to get that to as many people as possible, which is part of the reason we do this podcast.
Absolutely.
But also, do I need to be in every conversation with every client at all times to help them get their needs? No, not really. So it's like, think of it as a doctor's practice, right? So you go in and see the doctor. The doctor comes into the big decisions.
Right.
But you have a PA, you have a nurse practitioner, right? You have the scheduler or whatever.
You got the nurse assistant and stuff.
There you go. Yeah. So do you talk to the doctor at all times for all things? No. So it's like, but understanding that, is there a team? So we take a team-based approach here.
Yeah.
So we have a team of people to help you, but there's certain times you'll meet with certain team members for certain things and other team members for other things. But always, if there's ever the big thing, then that's where I come in and make sure that things are covered and we do things the right way. But the operations still are going to happen with or without me, because God forbid I died, you're going to be in really good shape still. Right.
Well, and I've had that situation where I've needed to deal with, Becky, your manager around here, around some things. And I'm honestly,
let's just be clear. We call her AKA Boss Lady.
AKA Boss Lady?
Yeah.
All right. So when I have to deal with Boss Lady, and I like it. It honestly, it'd be weird if you were doing that stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, but it makes, I
Scheduling,
like it. I like that team-based
do you
approach.
think I could do scheduling really well? I mean, I got 5 minutes. Yeah, I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she protects me from me.
Yeah.
Because I'll be like yes to everybody at all times. And Becky's like, no, Roy, you can't do that. You don't have the time. We got to make sure we get this taken care of. And then so she protects me from me, right?
Yeah.
But she's really good at what she does.
Yeah.
And if people try to go to me, she gets mad at me, because then she's like, Roy, why are you screwing up the calendar?
Yeah.
But anyways, there's reasons we have that. But if a client needs something, it's easy to go through her, because she's the one point of contact that the client's going to have.
Right.
And then she can get it to the right person.
Yeah. So who am I going to talk to? What's the team? Got it.
Yep. Next one in regards to, we already talked a little bit about the SEC, but I'm considered, my company is considered an RIA, a registered investment advisory.
Oh,
okay.
Not the Recording Industry Association.
That's
of
right.
America.
That's right.
Oh, that's an extra A. That's RIA.
Right. That's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast.
But it's funny because I just think that these people like I's, A's, and R's because I am technically within my own company and through the SEC registered as an investment advisor representative. Okay, that's what my role is, right? So that's just what we're called.
You're an IAR in the RAI.
In the
Or
RIA.
Okay,
That's done.
wow.
But so the question is this, everybody: are you an investment advisor representative?
Okay.
Now,
why am I asking that question?
This is a shout out to the previous podcast we did on what's a financial advisor.
Yes.
Because if they don't have licensing of being an investment advisor representative or being a broker dealer, probably not going to be the person you should be working with.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not licensed. Is what that means. Now, doesn't mean that people aren't in the world of financial advising. They could give it good advice. They could actually offer products that don't require securities, right? Security registration, or securities license, excuse me. But if they don't have either a broker-dealer license or if they're not an investment advisor representative, that tells you that they're licensed.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And that specifically could be with the state or the SEC. So my company is registered with the SEC. But some companies that are smaller have to just register with the state that they operate in.
Okay.
And as you get to a certain level, then you can become an SEC registered firm. So I represent all states at all times, kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Are you a fiduciary?
Me? No.
Yeah. So that's the big one now. Again, we're going to get hints of this as the client, if you understand what some of these things mean. But if you're an investment advisor representative, it means you're part of an RIA, which is under the SEC. Which means you're a fiduciary at all times in all situations.
Yes.
Everybody in the company, not just Roy. That's actually really important to understand because if Becky tells you something, she's technically a fiduciary.
Right.
And if she tells you, like she knows where the line stops, she's like, that's a Roy question.
Right.
I help you with scheduling and making sure you get the proper paperwork and we do the things the right way and get your signatures done correctly and dated properly, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to advise you because I am a fiduciary too. Even though I'm not necessarily licensed, you're still under the moniker of the SEC.
Right.
All right. So are you a fiduciary? And that's, yes, I am by license and by designation. My certified financial planner, you're required to be a fiduciary as well.
Okay.
How are you compensated?
Good question.
Great question.
I am not. Actually, I am a little bit.
You are actually.
You pay me a little bit to edit the videos. That's true. Yeah, that's true. So, but
am I overpaying? No,
no, you're not.
So how are you compensated? And a lot of times it comes down to this. Is it a fee-only relationship or is it a commission-based relationship?
Okay. Because let's be real, one way or another, you're getting paid. You're not doing this for free. No one should expect anybody to do anything for free. It's just how.
Right. And by the way, if you ever hear, it doesn't cost you anything. Probably a product that is not part of a licensing requirement.
Okay.
In regards to FINRA or the SEC.
Okay.
Because typically there's always a commission or a fee connected to it, but there are actually products that exist in the financial world where people sell them as, there's no fees for you to do this. I'm like, oh, are you getting paid? If there's no fees for me, how are you getting paid?
Right.
Right.
That's usually the question.
Sorry. I get annoyed with that one because it's like, I don't like people selling things like that because of course people are getting paid. There's maybe not fees connected to this, but the company that is making money off of it somehow that is paying me.
Yeah.
Right.
Somehow
so being clear about that. So fee only or commission based, if there's no fees, be concerned. Right. Be concerned.
Well, you might be thinking, well, why would that be? Why would I want to pay fees? Why would I want to pay fees, Roy? I mean, that's the question. I was like, that sounds good to me. I'm like, hey man, show me your credit card without a fee, and I'm good to go. Why would I want to pay fees?
Right. Well, the reality is, if it's free and someone's sitting in front of you, are they sitting there for free?
No.
So it's just to understand.
Yeah.
Like, how does this actually work? How do I get paid? By the way, those products can be easily explained, but they're sold in a way where there's no cost, there's no fees.
Right.
Anyways, fee only, right? So for us here at our company, We have the ability to do a fee-based relationships, which probably 99.9% of people do.
Right.
The reason that is because if I'm managing assets for you and I charge a fee, right? The fee's fixed, but I make more if you make more.
Right.
And I lose income if you lose assets.
Right.
Right.
I like that.
So it's
Our fates are tied,
interests are
Roy.
aligned. And that's where I was talking about the conflicts of interest previously. If I got paid a commission to sell you investment X, and if you make or lose money, it doesn't affect me, not necessarily a good thing for the client, because there could be conflicts of interest that exist in that situation. So you just want to be, how are we compensated? Is it not necessarily the commissions are bad, but you just need to understand the difference.
Right.
Right. So I came from that world where we did fee and commissions on investments specifically. I'm not talking about insurance here, folks.
Right.
Just investments. And it was always a little bit of a difficult thing because I got compensated differently in different situations.
Right.
I just never felt good about that. That's why when I left that firm, I came to this and set my own company up in this SEC registered way, because now everything's aligned in the same way.
Right.
It's all the fiduciary standard.
Well, and I have heard horror stories. I was thinking about one from another pastor friend, and they had a decent endowment at their church that they were, having somebody manage. And he started digging into it, and he's just like, every 2 weeks, or it feels like every month or 2 months, they're coming to have us sign something, do some kind of trade, some kind of thing, and they were just like constantly moving money around and all that kind of stuff, and not getting particularly wonderful overall returns for it. And he dug into it and got some hand waving about it, and then finally figured out, like, oh, every time you move this money, you're generating a feed, and
Not ideal.
And he's like, that's not where we're at.
Yep.
We're not chasing every dollar.
But the other side of that coin is if the advisor is conscious and good-hearted about it, and I'm not saying these guys did anything wrong, but like, I don't want to move this investment because it's going to create a fee, a commission.
Right.
But maybe you should move it anyways, right? But it creates this conflict in the advisor.
Right.
Like, if I move this, now they have to pay. I shouldn't move it, or I'm going to move this because I want them to pay, right?
Right.
So there's that's where I'm talking about, this slippery slope.
Yeah. And even on the client end, they're just like, well, is this really for the best, or is this because you're going to, and he started to suspect, well, maybe this is just, and it just got really murky.
Yep.
It's hard to tell because I'm not an expert. You come and say, this is what we need to do. It's in the best, you're in the best interest of your investments. Like, okay, I don't really have a way to fact check that.
Yep.
As a layperson. So that's, again, why are you doing this? What's your background? Who are you? What is your fee structure? Understanding all of that, so that when you give me advice, I want to feel like I have maximum faith in what it is that you are telling me and what it is that's going on.
So I have done what I've done to reduce the conflicts of interest that exist there, because I am the one that, like, man, I don't want to charge them a fee for this, but the reality is maybe they should make that trade anyways. Maybe it is the best thing for them.
Right.
But right now, the way I do it is, like, I can trade one investment to another. There's no commission to that. And it's just the annualized fee.
Right.
That's just charged monthly in arrears.
Right.
But that's actually another part of to how do they charge those fees, right? So, for instance, I have a friend who's in a business where they charge quarterly upfront.
Right.
Which I don't like, because I'm like, well, if the market goes down, you charge them more than you should have. If the market goes up, you technically charge less than you should have.
Right.
So we charge monthly in arrears because we do the work for the month. Then we charge based off a daily account balance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I getcha.
Assets that are billed. And so we charge in arrears, so that I'm like, I charge you for the work that we actually did on the daily average of the assets that were held.
Right.
I think it's the fairest way to do it. But it's actually cumbersome sometimes if you have a death or somebody transfers money out, then you have to bill. You could potentially lose out on fees because it could leave before you build it.
Right.
But if you have somebody do that and you charge it up front, then you got to give them money back.
Gotcha.
So it's just, understand that it's all different. Just understand the why and how it all works.
Yeah.
But fees versus commissions,
and what incentives are those created? Because that's really what it is. At the end of the day, what incentives are created by this?
And the other way, though, that we also charge is, like, I have some people like, Roy, I don't really need you to manage any of my money, but I really want to go through your financial planning process. So we have a financial planning fee.
Right.
It's just a dollar amount that we charge for that, and it's usually determined on by scope of project and complexity.
Okay.
Like what are the, it's kind of like we have to estimate the number of hours we're going to have to put into that to figure out what the actual cost would be, kind of thing.
But again, fairly straightforward. You know what it's going to cost. You know what you're getting.
It's like buying something off the shelf, right? Like I know what I'm going to get. I know what's going to cost, and it's very transparent.
Love it.
Yep. So that's how kind of fees conversation should go down. Another question is, do you have any minimums?
Oh.
Right. And that's actually a pretty big question in the industry. And the reason I say that is because I could bring on 1,000 people, but am I going to do a good job of managing the money for 1,000 people? Probably not.
No.
Right? That's just too much. So as you get in the industry, this is what we're talking about, the doctor's office experience, right? So if it was just Roy and just Becky, I have, a finite number of people that I can service because I have to be on every single situation. But now if I have a team around you, now I've created capacity and I can have more clients. Right. So what we're trying to do is create it so that people who want help can get the help they need.
Right.
Now we do technically have minimums, but doesn't mean that I won't help you. I have an expectation to do about 40 hours of pro bono a year.
Right.
So I think it's important that if somebody comes to me or is referred to me and they need help, but they're not an ideal client for me, I can help them in the situation they're in and say, hey, you don't make sense as a client for us because it'd be too expensive or whatever the case may be for their situation.
Right.
Here's what you need to do and consider. And, then they can go implement that through like a Vanguard or an E-Trade if it comes down to investing.
Right.
Or they're just like, hey, we need to talk about the what ifs. What if I lose my life, health, or job?
Right.
And just get a basic plan for that.
Right.
And by the way, a lot of times that is a conversation I have with people is like emergency funds and things like that.
Shout out emergency fund episode.
Shout out. But those are pro bono hours because it's people who just really want help and they don't know what to do. And I don't want to say no to those people.
Right.
So that's important though to understand.
But I think it's important. I remember, when I went to seminary, I had two tiny little, 401ks. I'm like, I'll put these together in an IRA. But it was not a lot of money. And I probably talked to like 5 or 6 different people, but they're like, yeah, sorry, we can't help you. It's just, and sometimes they were nice about it. Sometimes they weren't, but they would explain, it's like, there's nothing there for us. And so I ended up with kind of like this was like in the early aughts. So you didn't really have, a lot of like the online tools and Robinhoods and all that you have today to do some of this stuff. So I ended up doing like this little self-service thing. It worked. It was fine. But yeah, they were just like, yeah. And I hadn't even thought about it because I was I think for me, I'm thinking about it more like a checking account or, something like that, not realizing, there's a lot more work that goes on behind the scenes managing these investments and managing these funds than just like, open up a checking account or a savings account where, you stick the money in and it just sits there. Right. Yep. And so it does have to make financial sense. Yeah.
Yep. So which brings me to the next thing, because it is more complex than just opening an account.
Yeah.
Do you provide a written agreement detailing the amount of compensation or services that you're going to provide? It's a long-winded thing, but basically in my industry, especially on the SEC side, every single client of ours has what we call an investment advisory agreement.
Right.
Before I open an account for you, you'll sign that.
Oh, okay.
Because I can't advise you without having that documented and on file.
Okay.
But that gives the scope and the fees.
Gotcha. I remember signing.
Yep, you did. And then, sometimes that does change and you have to sign new ones and things like that, but that's all individualized, right? Another piece of the puzzle that we also do for clients is an investment policy statement. So how are we investing your money? What are we pointing it towards? So in the industry, there's called the suitability for each client. Okay. So if the SEC comes in here and audits me tomorrow, every one of my clients has a suitability filled out. That's your investment objective,
right?
Time horizon,
okay,
and risk.
Okay.
That's documented for every single client. Now, a lot of clients don't know that, by the way, and I'm actually altering our process to show that more clearly for clients going forward because they need to understand what I have to do behind the scenes for them to make sure I'm staying compliant with the SEC.
Got it.
But that is part of the process. So that IPS helps us with identifying those things. So that's something that I actually walked you guys through. You answered these questions for me, and then we had a conversation around it.
Yep.
Right. And then that's not like a contract of any kind. It's just a signing of a document that says we both agree that this is the way we should be invested right now.
Right.
And if you come in a year from now or even 6 months from now and things change in your life, then we alter that agreement based off of whatever has changed.
Right.
So that's a living, breathing, ongoing thing. Your investment advisory agreement is realistically, as long as the scope matches what you're doing, doesn't really realistically change over time.
Gotcha. Okay. I remember doing that. Is that the one with the speed limit sign?
Yes.
Yes. And you're just like, how fast do you want to go?
Yeah.
The faster you go, you might get there a little quicker.
One of the tools out there is it's called Nitrogen, but it's actually quite a good tool because it does take risk and it kind of puts it into a speed limit format, which people can like grasp. Like, hey, if I'm driving down the road at 100 miles an hour, that's pretty risky.
That's risky.
I'm down the interstate, right? But if I'm driving down the interstate at 55 miles an hour, that's actually probably risky too because you're gonna get run over.
Right. Well,
But you're gonna be on the side road at 55 miles an hour. Yeah. But we understand that that's less risk, right?
That's
but we have a conversation about what that specifically means in their situation based off their investments and all that good stuff. But at least it gives you some perspective to be like, oh, I'm a 55.
I really appreciate that. I'm like, I love it. So.
Yeah. So next one up. Let's see here. Do you offer assistance with implementation of the plan? That's a really good one.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I would think that was obvious.
Tell me more.
Well, I mean, wouldn't they do that? I mean, what's the point of talking to somebody about a plan if they're not going to help you do it?
Great question. Glad you asked.
Okay, I'm glad I did too.
That's called the hamburger, by the way.
Yeah.
Great question, Jeremy. Glad you asked.
There you go.
What it is there's situations where somebody could come to me and say, hey, Roy, I want a financial plan.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I go through their situation. I explain to them what the plan is, right? It's obviously not as simple as I'm saying here. It's like a lot of work, but I deliver them the plan.
Right.
And then they take said plan and it's their job to now go and implement.
Okay.
Right. Or it could be where I'm engaged with you. I'm managing your money. We're helping you make sure that we're implementing the plan the way that we discussed.
Right.
Now, I always tell people like the scope of the work is always going to be understood where the beginning point and the end point are. So if you know as the client, you have to do that, I can't. Right? As part of the plan, something about your bank account at Bank XYZ, you client have to do that. I can't do that for you. Right? They won't talk to me because I'm not the owner of the account. Right. So those kind of things are just understood as like, I'm helping you with these, and then you have to do this, and this.
Gotcha.
On your own. But then the next time we meet, guess what I'm going to do? Hey, did you get this, and this done? And they're like, oh, was I supposed to do that? Like, yeah, we put it in our email. Yes. Anyways.
He will ask you that.
I will.
He will.
Let's see here. Oh, this is always a really good one, by the way.
Okay.
Do you offer a second opinion?
Do you offer a second opinion?
Right. So can I come to you and I have a plan in place already?
Oh.
And I would like to get your second opinion on this plan.
Okay.
Do you offer second opinions? Because the probability is if either I'm going to uncover through the second opinion process that they have some gaps that can be worked on.
Right.
Or I confirm that the plan they have is good.
Right.
So some people may not offer a second opinion because like, well, I don't want to do all that work if you're not going to sign up with me. Right. So for me, it's like, that's another thing. Like I could offer you a fee. I'll do a second opinion of everything. And if you decide that you want to work with me because we've uncovered things that are a problem, we can refund that fee back to you as part of your other fees of working with us. Mm-hmm. Or you're like, hey, thank you and goodbye. Right. They just paid their fee for my time. Right.
And again, that's all up front. You know what you're paying. You know what you're getting.
That's just a project kind of situation. Yeah.
Got it.
But that's why it's important to ask because, do you do second opinions?
Well, and I was like, I don't know why it even occurred to me. It's like, why would you get, like, of course you could get a second opinion on your thing, on your plan, especially if you're concerned, or maybe you've got a plan in place. You're listening to this and going, oh, I am in a, working with somebody who's at a different fee structure. And I'm wondering about it. And I just, want to make sure, because it may be that you've got something great in place and, it's like, that's wonderful. But starting with the idea of asking for a second opinion before you just decide to move somewhere new, that's an interesting way to go about it. Yeah.
Yep. So that's really important. And it's like the doctor. It's funny how this doctor things keep coming up to me in my head and in the past, even when I'm talking with other people.
Dr. Roy.
But it's an interesting, the doctor's design is something everybody understands. That's kind of why I use it. But, do you go to the doctor and just trust every doctor you meet, or do you get a second opinion?
Right. Well, and it kind of depends. If it's kind of run-of-the-mill stuff, they're like, yep, you got the flu, then, I'm probably okay with that one. But if you get some kind of diagnosis or, whatever, that's a little more, if you got more or of a chronic condition.
Let's say it's a life-threating situation.
Life-threatening situation, right? Yeah, or some kind of chronic condition or, whatever that you're trying to manage. I mean.
You probably want that second opinion.
Yeah.
Now, what if it's your life savings?
Right.
Do you think you'd want a second opinion?
I don't know, Roy, making me feel like I should get one.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I'm walking into my trap.
Okay.
So the reality is that good advisors won't discourage it.
Right.
Because they really do feel like they're buttoned up. They have a good process. They've really uncovered every rock. Now, if people want to compare performance, that's always a very slippery slope. And what I mean by that is, let's say that I invest your money with risk level X, and other advisor over here did the same thing at risk level X, and they outperformed me by 0.3%,
right,
or some crazy thing like that, right? When you are comparing performance to fees, it gets problematic because what are they also offering besides that? Are they offering all this other planning stuff for that fee?
Right.
Or just the fee for the investments?
Right.
So it's very difficult, and you really got to know what you're getting into when you get a second opinion. Is the scope of the work the same?
Yes. Okay. Are you getting as much value? Because, sometimes additional dollars means additional value, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And I think the performance thing is hard over short term because there's so much noise in the investment return short term. I mean, you can tell me, last month I beat your plan, by X percent. I'm like, well, great, but what about the month before? What about, my stuff, and especially if we're talking retirement or long-term stuff, I'm like, I've got multiple year perspectives, on this, as far as performance goes.
Well, it's not even just performance, because the reality is what type of account is it? How is it registered with the taxation? Right. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. So
right.
I shared this on a previous podcast, but I had a client call in a situation. They wanted to get some money out for a child.
Right.
They could sell it and pay taxes on their current tax rate, or they could gift it to their kid as an asset, and the kiddo can sell it at their tax rate. It's the cost basis goes with it, but I won't get into that. But I at least gave the client the option to make that decision. Like, wow, I actually feel good that I actually could make that decision. Whereas if you just call, your investment advisor person that only manages your money, they'll be like, yeah, I'll trade that for you and send you the money.
Right.
Not even talk about the tax consequence, right? So it's not just what you make, it's what you keep.
Right. That's the planning part.
That's right. And that's actually, in my world, by the way, that's one of the hardest things to articulate, is that value.
Yeah.
And the relational, because how do you take a fee on an investment that is kind of commonly used in the industry in different ways and different services, and realistically say, hey, I actually help people in their worst moments.
Right.
And get through that.
Yeah.
And that's really what I do, because I understand we have a plan. Financially speaking, we can make decisions, right, with clarity. Doesn't mean that we have a clairvoyant approach here, but it means that we have all the information we can get at that moment in time, and we can make the best decision we can make.
Yep.
And that's just what I try and do, is just empower people to help make that decisions, and especially the worst moments. It's not the best moments, it's the worst moments.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? Which you experienced personally.
I did, and you do have a lot of very weird decisions to make when that stuff happens. So, Well, this is great.
Yeah.
You got any more for us?
I do have more. But it kind of gets into the weeds a little bit,
okay,
right?
Okay.
But some of the things, and I won't talk through ours, but some of the things will be how do you communicate?
Okay, how do you communicate? That's a good one.
So how will we communicate?
Strictly smoke signals,
right?
That's all,
right? You call me, I don't call you, right? Like that. I've had advisors say that. This is a guy who's like in the business like 30 years. He's like, yeah, I don't call my clients; they call me. That's not the approach I take, by the way.
No.
What's your investment philosophy?
Oh,
There's a lot of different philosophies out there. So I think it's good at least to have a conversation around that.
Yeah.
And let's see here. There's another one I want to, do you work with like third-party professionals like CPAs and attorneys?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So for my clients, when I do planning, like today, I actually have a couple clients coming in to meet with an attorney. And I do sit in on those appointments and help. I do this all the time. They don't.
Right.
So I understand things they don't. So if I understand their plan, I know what they're trying to accomplish, I can ask questions to the attorney to either one, hey, could you give clarity around what that actually means?
Yeah.
Or, hey, what if we did it this way? Would that still make what we want to happen? And does that make any more sense or not?
Gotcha.
And the client wouldn't know to ask those questions.
Right.
So do I get paid to sit in those meetings? Well, technically, because they're paying me their fee, but for my time, I'm not getting, a check for my hour of time to sit through that. But that's important to spend that time so that we can make sure that their plan gets implemented properly. And that's on the estate planning side specifically I'm talking about for the attorney.
Got it.
But same thing could be said for CPAs,
right?
Depending on the situation.
Well,
usually it's complexity adds to my time. If it's more complex, I want to make sure I'm part of that to help ask questions and actually get clarity. And then honestly, this is where the business owner piece comes in. I'll get all their professionals together in one room.
Yeah.
Typically at least annually, but it really is determined on what's changed in the business or the client's life that we would need to gather those folks.
Right.
Because the communication for third parties, when you're not in the same room talking about the same thing, pointing at the same goal, is sometimes difficult, right? It's like texting somebody. You lose some context.
Yeah, because you're playing that quarterbacking role.
That's right.
I mean, because there's the team that's here.
That's right.
Doing the work here. But again, yes, small business owners or people with maybe larger net worths or whatever, there's probably other folks outside of this building that are, they're CPAs and they're tax people and everything like that. And you probably do need to be in communication. And so as the small business owner or the person, like, I want you to do that. And if the response from the advisor is, I don't talk to other people. I mean, just, you got to make sure, is that what you want? Like, is that what you want? Do you want people talking to each other so that everybody knows what's going on?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just want people on the same page so we can all point to the same goal, which is helping the client before us.
Absolutely.
So those are the big ones, I would say. There's obviously more we could always dig into, but that's where I think it comes down to having a relationship with someone and working with someone that you can trust. And a lot of people really want to sit down face to face. It's funny, post COVID, I get this a lot. Like, I want to come in and talk with you, Roy.
Yeah.
I don't want to do a Zoom.
Yeah.
But for the people, like, I also had a situation where a client just literally lives down the street here, like 3 blocks. And they're like, can we do Zoom today? I just don't want to I don't want to get out of my pajamas. They work from home, right? So they're like, I don't want to put on real clothes today. I'm just going to stay in my pajamas and do a Zoom with you.
But that's the other thing, yes. Like, what is your communication style? How are we going to interact? Can we do it this way if we want to? Can we do it in person? Yeah, I think the pendulum is definitely swinging back towards, long sense, swinging back towards in person. We've recognized the value of it. Well, this was great. And so I think for anybody who's maybe thinking about taking on a financial advisor, financial planner for the first time, or maybe evaluating, maybe your world's been on autopilot for a little while and you're like, am I working with the right person? Am I doing the right things? Maybe it's time for a second opinion. I didn't even think about putting in those terms, but it's not even about maybe even making a decision to make a change, but just saying, maybe I want to take a second opinion.
Kick the tires on this car and see if it's still running well.
Yeah, to see if we're still where we are, or maybe there's something else going on. And I would assume, if we talked about many times, especially those life change moments, getting married, having kids, getting close to retirement, whatever, is probably the time people really start looking at that kind of thing. So
yes, it is interesting how that is the case, but it's really good if you could start earlier.
Yes,
so you can create those good habits.
You want us to take a proactive approach to our money, Roy?
Yes. I don't like it when people come in and be like, can you turn this into this so that I can retire? I'm like, I don't have a money tree in the backyard here.
Right.
Give me some time to let this cook.
Let me wave my magic wand.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So.
Well, thank you all. I hope you guys found this interesting and exciting. If you are considering, making a change or going to a financial planner for the first time, definitely Credentialed Wealth Advisors would be a person to call. But whoever you call, make sure you're making an informed choice, because it's so nice to feel good about the people that you're working with. I've had, honestly, as a person who has some chronic illness, I've had good relationships with doctors and I've had bad relationships with doctors, and I definitely prefer it when I have a good relationship and somebody I trust. So, that's a big deal. So thank you, Roy, for bringing us all this important information, as always.
My pleasure.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
CWA is a Securities and Exchange Registered Investment Advisor. No content contained herein should be construed as an offer for investment advice or an offer for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Investments involve the risk of low loss, including loss of principal. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, or legal professional before implementing any strategy presented here. Data presented here are obtained from believed reliable sources but cannot be guaranteed as to completeness or accuracy.